I've started my own business, it's really been my mentors who have given me the bolster or the support to start and move in my career. And nowadays, I really try and encourage this risk-taking and just going out there and doing it, and also voicing your dreams out loud and not to be scared of that. And I think it's that optimistic view and risk-taking that I think is really important for women to just go out there and try. So I mentor people in the company, outside the company, other entrepreneurs when they're starting things. Karen Ong, she's now got Language International. Catherine Santer at Jack Cards. And then also Jordan Flegel, who's local here, and he does Coach Up. So I think that it's important for us to give back in some way because I think it just pays off in spades. Got this incredible thing that I share with people. It's called 4-7-8. You breathe in 4 times, hold for 7 counts, and then you release the breath for 8. You do that in cycles of 4, guaranteed your heart rate will go down. It just calms me down and gives me a sense of zen, which I think is really important in leadership, that you don't sweat the small stuff, because it's more important to be present in the moment with whatever you're doing and whoever you're with. And it's good to have diverse backgrounds, right, in terms of board members. Whether they've been bankers, whether they've been scientists, whether have had operational experience, a marketer versus a technologist or a product person. In the very beginning, I raised money with Matrix Partners, and Nick Bime has been an incredible mentor and friend and has just been great at advising, has introduced me to a lot of wonderful people. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, invested in the company as well, and he's been great at helping with product advice. Steve Kofer from TripAdvisor, Jonathan Kraft of the Kraft family, and more recently a very dear friend of mine, Javier Olivan, who's on the board, he's actually on the management team at Facebook, has been wonderful at advising us and strategizing on how to leverage social media to grow Care.com. So we've got 2 groups of people advising and providing guidance. We have our advisors and, of course, our formal board members, and that includes Nick Bime from Matrix Partners, Patricia Nakash, terrific, from Trinity Ventures, Tony Florence from NEA, Vic Pescucci from USAA, Mandy Ginsberg, who's the president of chemistry and Match.com, and of course, Brian Sweetie, who's been with me since the beginning. He was the chairman of the board of Burger King and the COO of eBay and the CMO of PepsiCo. So you can just imagine his incredible experience. I just feel so honored that he's on the board of like J.Crew, Shutterfly, Jamba Juice, and Care.com. So he's an incredible ad. And then more recently, we just added Christian Volman, who is the CEO of eDarling from Europe on our board. As you go through the life cycle of care needs, it's not always in-home providers that you need, but you also need out-of-home providers. So we have a business marketplace as part of our B2B offering.
Companies everywhere around the world really recognize that care-related challenges or issues can be a challenge for both their employees and ultimately for them. They really create stress for the employee and ultimately can lead to absenteeism and lower productivity for the employer.
We have a team of social workers who guide people through senior care challenges, and we really help them with resources to provide the best type of care for their family members.
So, and it, as you know, in senior care, because it's crisis driven, I always tell people when it comes to childcare, you can pick up what to expect when you're expecting or call your mom or your grandma. When it comes to senior care, it's so much more challenging.
It really is, because people don't often reach out for help until they're in a crisis. And then they don't know where to go or what to do, how to pay for care, how to find care, and they really need someone to guide them through that process.
And they don't think about things like home modification. Are my parents going to trip on something? Or what kind of questions to ask their caregiver when it comes to medication. There's just a lot of things that are very difficult.
And then there's the shock that Medicare is not going to pay for the nursing home, which costs $100,000 a year. So we really provide the needed support, information, guidance, resources for people.
That's right.
So they can have that whole burden taken off of them and really focus on making the right decisions.
I get cards and letters like this all the time. It says, "Dear Care.com team, you're doing a terrific job for our country. I don't know what I would have done without the wonderful caregivers I found through your site. They truly helped give my father a dream end-of-life experience. All the best, Rodizin." And so sent us a picture of her dad. So those are the kinds of things that I hang on to. These stories, they just mean a lot. I think a lot of people don't know about me. I tend to be a very fast-paced person. I live a very, very busy life. And then people always assume that I have it all. And yet, it's so important for me for people to know that I live my life believing that I can't have it all. That it is not about perfection that I'm seeking, and it's about just living the moment, and that's really important. And it's not that I'm being overly critical of myself. I just think that when I was younger, I always strived for perfection, when in reality, and it was just A, hard, and B, it didn't allow me to focus on the things that were there in front of me. So the best advice would be my sister Suzette, who is also my older sister and somewhat a mom to me, because I went to a boarding school at such a young age at 11, and she went to the same school. And I remember when we were younger, she said to me, "Never think that you are important enough that other people think about you." She even said something like that they use any of their brain cells on you. It actually was really good, because growing up as a teenager, less focus on insecurities, how people perceived me, think about those things. And so I don't spend a lot of time and energy on those things. Instead, I think about who am I to myself, and I think about others and how I could be helpful to them. I had an opportunity once to meet Meryl Streep. I was probably this close to her. I'm a huge fan because of all the female leaders she's depicted and that she's lived in their shoes. The more that I have impacted and touched people's lives in some small way, whether it's an introduction I made or a piece of advice, and I think that in my life I find that these small gestures, and if they can be impactful in their lives, I think it's probably the best thing. Go ahead, do it, take a risk, be brave. You won't ever know unless you try. So this is our third floor. It's our newest space. But I have to take you over here. This is one of our funnest conference rooms. Obviously the tables move around, the white walls are up, and you can write on them pretty much everywhere. So who was our first client?
First client, I think it was probably Facebook, actually, which is great.
Pretty exciting.
Great to have the first client. Yeah, it's a good place to start, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we've had Google, LinkedIn, eBay, PayPal, so. The team surprised me, and they put up this beautiful wallpaper of my two boys. We actually have this rule here that, in terms of bringing pictures in, as long as you're not in the picture, because we look at you every day, the most important thing is really our families.